Here with Robert Thorne and the Big Bad Wolf. This is a car that you've actually won a Super Street Mod championship in previously. After day one, you are currently in a fairly narrow lead in Super Street Mod. But this is a car that you've done a bunch of other stuff with as well. One Lap of America, so it's got some street miles under it. Yep. So tell us a little bit about what we're actually looking at here.
Yeah, this is our 2008 Honda S2000. Unfortunately for many, it started off life out as a CR. Bought it with just a few thousand miles of it, December 2010, with the intent to run it in STR, and then somehow it ended up like this.
Things escalated a little bit. So what was the tipping point for going from a mildly modified class to a more heavily modified class? And some of the stuff you're going to show us here in a few minutes, this is a fairly advanced automobile.
Yeah, it ran in STR for 2 years, and it was a lot of fun, but I just wanted to step up the development of the car, and really it was just a want to go faster. With some of the pro racing I've done, I get addicted to the grip and the speed and everything, so had an opportunity to move the car to BSP. So put big sticky Hoosiers on it and see if we could break it there, and ran it in BSP for 2 years pretty successfully. And then, of course, the next step is how much power can you put down.
So was this a crime of opportunity, or if you had to do it all over again, is this the right car for Super Street Mod, or have you just managed to modify it to the point where you're happy with it? And obviously, you've won some championships with it, so it works, but how much of that is you and how much of that is an inherently good platform here?
I still believe in the platform pretty much over everything else, so I always like to give my fellow S2000 guys some encouragement to try and move the car to the different classes. For me and the people that have helped me on the car, it seems to have come pretty easily, especially in BSP. SSM was a bit of a challenge. This is a heavy car for SSM. I think we've got just about 700 pounds over Wilcox's Miata. So we keep joking to make an SSM heavy. But
so give us the quick laundry list here. What are we actually looking at as far as
Yeah, as far as prep, the motor is relatively stock, but with enough boost and good fuel, we can make about 670 wheel horsepower, and we've got full control to adjust that. 315s on the front, 335 A7s on the back, Penske shocks, and just a whole bunch of aero and body work, and a lot of that came from playing around in Time Attack, which is one of the other things we do with the poor car.
So you undersell it by saying the motor is relatively stock with some boost. You've got a fairly sophisticated anti-lag system on there, which I would imagine for what's known to be a fairly peaky motor has got to help quite a bit. What was the development process like for that?
Yeah, that was a really cool project. It's currently not on the car. We took it off at the end of one lap after we kind of ruined all of it. But up until then, we had the system on the car, and that took a solid year of development. And the gist was, I really wanted the car to be able to accelerate at peak rate anytime the car was autocrossing, at any moment without any delay at all. And we worked on basically being able to run the turbine closed loop, with its own fueling and everything, and slowly figured out slightly easier ways to get around it. But we're able to, when the system's on, maintain a constant turbine RPM, which means that we can have whatever torque we want whenever.
So you essentially turn it into like a rocket motor when it's off throttle.
Yeah. There's a little rocket burn chamber that we smoked on one lap, but it lasted a surprisingly long amount of time. Made out of sheet metal, 321 and Inconel, and through some bypass valves. There's a compressor in the back, 3-gallon air tank, valves, regulators, and everything, and a Motec dash that kind of handles the sophisticated bits and math and mapping. But it's kind of like driving a big V8 when it works.
So what's the system that's on here now? A little more simple? You just sort of put the first generation system back on for this event?
Yes, it's much more simple right now. I mean, as far as it goes, it's a conventional turbo setup. We have a really well-sized turbo and no sophisticated anti-lag at all. So it's a little laggy on course, but we've had another year to develop the suspension and aero, and I think that currently is making up for it a bit. I'm sure if we were able to go back to the old system, we could find more time in the car. But it's very reliable the way it is, so we're able to get tons of runs without any maintenance, which is a nice relief compared to the old setup.
Well, and speaking of reliability, obviously this is a car that just completed, 4,000 miles on the one lap of America. What's this thing like over? Obviously, it's got to be amazing on course, but what's it like over a long haul like that? Did you need a couple of days off after that just to recover, or is there still some street capability here?
We try to pretend there is, but it's a little rough. The sequential gearbox that it has is very loud. The gearing is grouped together and very short, so 70 mile an hour, 75 on the highway, and we're singing 4 grand, and it's pretty noisy inside. There's no air conditioning. It does have heat and defroster still, and there's actually a pretty good stereo that we put in it over the winter. So at least we have some tunes, but it is very cramped in there. There's not room for a water bottle next to you or anything.
So what is it like on course? Have you focused on sort of an approachable driving setup with this, or are you just sort of focusing on speed and hoping to throw down a flyer? These have always been kind of edgy cars to me. It's like a wiry Miata almost. So have you got it somewhere where it's drivable, or are you just hoping to put it in one of your 3 runs is good?
I would characterize the car as relatively soft and easy to drive. It is, if you see some shots of it on course, it has a lot of roll, and it's very softly set up so that you can feel and use the weight transfer on course. We see it's a little soft when we take it on the track, but for autocross it seems to work well. I've given it to a number of drivers over the years, and they can go out on their first run and lay it down. So I'm told the car is pretty easy to drive. I think I've gotten a little numb to it, so I'm not sure anymore.
So what's next? Are you sitting here thinking about what your next development area is on this thing, or are you kind of happy with where it is? A guy like you're always thinking about the next thing, but are there future ridiculous accessories that are going to be embedded into this?
I kind of hope not at this point. I got a little obsessed last year with time attack, so we started beefing up the aero and seeing how hard we could really push the motor and seeing if we could break some stuff. We did the 2 grid life events and had great success there and a lot of fun, but it's hard on the car, and at some point I just want to have something that I can enjoy, and it's at that point right now. So for the foreseeable future, it'll probably remain pretty close to how it is.
Robert Thorne, so by the time this video drops, we're going to know whether or not you are the 2018 Super Street Mod champion. And that will be in the tag of the video. So good luck this afternoon, my friend.
Thank you.
We'll see you.